to the Cinementalists. Noun, plural. Definition, those whose love for movies runs so deep, they can't help but do a podcast about them. Hosted by Colton Robertson and Joseph George. Hello everybody and welcome in to the Cinementalists. Today we continue our journey through some horror films in October with what has generally and widely been considered, and it is used in its promotional material and everything, the scariest movie of all time. Obviously our perspective of that has shifted quite a bit, but we're talking The Exorcist today. Released originally on December 26th, 1973. It was written for the screen and based on the novel by William Peter Blatty and directed by William Friedkin. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And man, we crossed a new one off the list for you, right? This was a first viewing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was. I guess I've seen some pretty iconic scenes, or before,
shots,
or
moments,
more, shots. Yeah. I haven't seen the whole thing play out, but yeah, definitely a first viewing of the movie, and we got a good one, a very, very good one today. It was, if I could log it on Letterboxd, I haven't been able to.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, Letterboxd is down at the moment.
It's an instant 5-star here. This one, it was like I felt like I was watching a classic while I was watching it, so it had that going for it, and it's just like it impressed me. I had the wrong read of the movie completely going in. Before I started the movie, I watched the movie, had the wrong read on a part of the movie for a little bit while watching the movie. But my overall image before the movie, I guess, was just I knew possession happened, exorcism ritual eventually, and then demon gone somehow. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't really know the ending. So, but that's what I thought of the movie before, and then to just kind of have it like slowly kind of. Like, we just get to know the characters for a little bit, yeah. And then
that's something that I will say. This is the only Exorcist movie I have seen. This is it has a few sequels. There's Exorcist 2, 3, and I believe there was a reboot just last year, Exorcist Believer. I don't know if there's anything in between there. 2 and 3 are generally perceived as pretty good. The reboot was not received very well. And one of the reasons I saw people say that they didn't love the reboot was because it knows it knows the other movie exists, kind of, you know, and it doesn't allow the little girls who do get possessed in that movie form as characters. They just get possessed, and the entire movie is what you thought. It's just trying to figure out how to get the demons out. The reason this movie hits as hard as it does is because Regan is Regan for 35 minutes of the movie, which is a long fucking time. And what's even more impressive about this movie is that I watched the extended director's cut, which is only about 10 minutes longer, 2 hours, 12 minutes versus 2 hours and 2. And I've watched previously the theatrical cut, and to be honest, off the top of my head, I cannot tell you precisely what more was included, which is generally not a terrible sign. This movie flows. It just moves by you. Like it's a surprisingly quick watch. And you'd think you'd kind of there's a creeping dread obviously with some of the parts of the movie where you're like, oh, is this going to drag for me? And it doesn't, you know, like we spend that time and all of a sudden you're 20 minutes further into the movie than you realized you were. And it's really, really fulfilling. And one of the reasons I think it really pays off is Regan being Regan for the entire first act, which is really, really strong. I love that choice.
That's at least my thought. My returning thought is just like, man, this is a little girl. Like, at the end of the day, that's what makes it suck. That's what makes the movie and
an innocent little girl. But beyond that, it's what makes Linda Blair the easy performance for the movie for me,
dude.
She's fucking nuts with it.
Obviously, at some point, that's not her voice. So like, she's getting
dubbed, but
she's saying
the words.
Yeah, like she's having to at least try to match, or maybe I don't know if it was the other way around. If the voice actor
they probably ADR it in after,
but all the convulsions, all the I mean, just
whenever the bed's shaking and she's like, "Mommy, help, Mom!" Like it's hard to watch, man. Like and it is because of Linda Blair. You know, like she is so fucking good as Regan, and there's literally only one other child performance I would go maybe as good as this as far as what I've seen, and it's Milo Machado Grainer last year in Anatomy of a Fall. Like that kid was really fucking good in that. But there's just such a disturbed level that Linda Blair had to go to in this that's kind of crazy, you know? Like apparently the first day she shot with Max von Sydow, who plays the Father Merrin. You'll know him from Game of Thrones, actually. He's the three-eyed raven who trains Bran.
And good old, well, I don't know his character name, but in the sequels, he's Poe. He gives Poe the map to put into BB-8, and
Lor
Kylo
Santeca.
kills him.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah,
quite impressive.
The first day they were on set together, Linda Blair and Max von Sydow. Max von Sydow forgot his lines because Linda Blair was screaming obscenities at him. And he was so, like, she's all done up in the makeup and she's like, you know, let Jesus Christ fuck you or whatever the fuck, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, okay.
That would take you out.
It's jarring, you know? And so that's why I'm like, I'm continually impressed. This was only the second time I've watched this movie. And I knew after the first time that if we ever did a horror movie project, it would be in that project because it is my favorite horror movie of all time. As far as there's no other category you can define this in. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a horror movie. You know, like there are those ones that you're like, that could be more of a thriller, you know, like no, this is a horror movie. And when it comes to those, this is it. This is top one for me. I think that there's just such a classicness to it. There's such a heart to it, a heartfelt, meaningful, I don't know, religious, there's a Catholic guilt that comes with it that I really, really appreciate. Are you hearing something?
Someone's at my front door right now.
Oh, you're all good.
Yeah, it's one of, oh, I guess he's leaving now. Okay.
Not the episode we want to be recording when someone shows up at your front door, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the guy, but he's leaving. He's already leaving. But oh my god, why? Why this episode? Come on.
Fresh off the horror movie. Yeah. No.
Okay.
No, that's why I was real keen on getting this in today. Because Emily's going out of town tonight and I have the whole house to myself for the next couple days. Like, so we're going to take it easy on the horror movies for the next couple days. Otherwise I'm going to be laying in I'm going to let the dogs loose, let them out so that anything I like, but then anytime they bark, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? You know, like it's one of those things cause they bark at a lot of stuff, you know? So like, it could be nothing, but what if
probably
it's
nothing, but
yeah. There's that
not,
chance.
You know,
I
was going to be pure psycho and watch it downstairs with all the windows open, with all the blind, like open, pitch black, have the sound cranked up and just.
Well, and the good news, what's interesting about this movie too is that, you know, the idea is generally scary, you know, getting possessed, but it's a different kind of scary than you would experience in a setting like that. Like the real, I don't want to say the real world scaries, you know, like I don't want to bring myself into some bad juju like that, but you know, whenever, like when a stranger calls and the call's coming from inside the house, that sort of shit scares me when I'm home alone. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff I don't want to watch when I'm home alone. I can get away with this, you know, like I can feel comfortable watching this a little bit, you know, I don't feel like I'm being observed. What is generally very scary about this movie, that I find deeply unsettling is sound design. prosthetic work, and the score. All of those things working together create just a very eerie feeling over the course of the movie. And frankly, the voice work for Linda Blair, whoever is voicing Reagan in those moments, when I had to turn the TV down last night while Emily was asleep next to me, because there are times whenever it's like, if she woke up, heard that, and looked up, she would not be able to go back to sleep. It's that's some strong work,
It's unsettling. It very, very unsettling. That's for sure. Yeah, but you're right. As in, it's not a one that you're really worried about watching Home Alone. It's almost like strangely, I've been seeing people call it like a comfort horror movie. Almost. Yeah. But it's so grotesque and disgusting, and it's horrible. You don't want this to happen to this innocent little girl, and it's demonic, whatever. But then I don't know, it does feel like a comfort horror movie almost.
No, because they do a really good job of blending the bleakness with the hopefulness. I texted you that off mic. There is obviously a darkness to it that one of the characters gets a pretty devastating end, but there's also an element to it that is kind of redeeming and kind of fulfilling, and it is the right thing, and deciding it is the right thing is a difficult choice to make, Father Karras is who I'm talking about there, obviously. But, it is an obviously happy ending for Reagan and Chris. That is, you want them to make it out. If Reagan ends up dying at the end of this movie, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. This instantly becomes not a comfort horror film. You know what I'm saying? It's, and I think that's a really, really cool line to toe, is managing to make your horror movie hopeful while still putting an emphasis on the horrors of what you can't control, which I think is really powerful in a conversation about faith, specifically as it regards to this movie, it's, you don't have control over that, but ultimately if you do believe in it, there's a certain solace you can take in the purpose of it all. It's for a reason. This wasn't, I didn't have any control over it, but my Lord and Savior got me through, and there's an interesting angle with this movie where demons and this sort of, these are probably my generally favorite genre of horror, subgenre is demons, religious, stuff that deals with this. Emily cannot watch these because she grew up in an extremely religious household. I didn't, I'll be like, do you want to watch this tonight? And she's like, what's it about? And I'll explain, a demon possesses it. Nope. She's like, I can't do that, and I'm like, and that's so interesting to me, and I get it. I do. And I think it's interesting to know that, we covered The Acolyte a few months ago, but, when it comes to scary movies, it's just you and what you bring with you. What you are afraid of will make a horror movie worse than it could be, And I think that's a really strong side of this movie, is that there's something for everybody, even if you didn't grow up particularly religious.
Yeah, it's a totally different kind of scary. I'm not a complete naysayer, but I'm not religious, and I don't fully buy in to most of these things. And I'm still getting afraid during the movie. I'm still feeling the tension. I'm still getting all of the emotions I'm supposed to, and I don't even have that faith really. So I couldn't imagine if I did have that faith, and then I'm watching this movie as well, and it's it turns it to a different level.
No, for sure. And I think that's what's really cool about a filmmaker that this movie specifically reminds me a lot of is Scorsese. Not exactly in the filmmaking itself, but in the story and the way it was told. That's something Scorsese has grappled with his entire career, is basically what Father Karras's entire character is. Grappling with Catholic guilt, feeling like he's supposed to be doing something, but he's not doing enough, and he wants to dedicate himself to this life, but there's something holding him back. And, Scorsese notoriously was going to go into priesthood before he became a filmmaker. That was what he was going to do, because he felt he had to. Like, and that's something that comes with Catholicism generally. And I loved the way they depict Karras's battle with himself over the course of the movie. You know, he even has the two warring brains of the priesthood and the psychiatry. Like, he has both perspectives on everything. He has the secular and the non-secular. He has every opportunity to not believe in what he's dedicated his life to, and to staunchly continue to believe in it, even though he has studied enough other stuff to not. I think is like, it's why he's my favorite character of the movie. You know,
Yeah, no, I feel like I tried to spread the love, and I was trying to, but then like he has the sacrifice play as well at the end there, which I mean just already cranks him up to top. But no, I thought he was the most interesting to kind of just look through the whole movie. His like with his mother and dealing with that, like putting her in a home and then seeing what that home looks like. Oh my God. Like, how do you not just check out the place before she's in there to like, I like to know that this is, but damn, that just, you know, it's a movie.
And pulling his boy aside like, yo, what like, the fuck is that? And
can we put her somewhere else?
You gonna pay for it? You got the money? And it's like,
boom, boom, and he's instantly boxing. I thought like we were gonna get a whole boxing arc of him trying to like make money real quick and like like one big fight and like get the money to put mom in a nice home or something like that. But no, because it was the immediate cut to him like punching the bag.
Well, and I think that's another wonderful depiction of the angst that comes with his guilt. Like, that is how he's expressing it, you know. And he has to channel it somewhere, because in his job he obviously can't channel it anywhere. And I think that's a really cool aspect of the character, and ultimately a sacrifice play is one of the things that I'm thankful I knew enough about Catholicism to know that, you know, suicide is like guaranteed eternal damnation. There's like no confession you can do that.
Like cut and dry kind of thing. I don't know. It is just,
there's a lot that's they're like, we can forgive that, but like you kill yourself and that's a no-go.
No.
So to know that he staunchly believes in this all the way to the end of his life, and he ultimately sacrifices himself and his eternal soul in order to save the little girl, is super fucking cool. It's not like he's just sacrificing his earthly body. You know, he is sacrificing his soul. And that is a awesome way to take the story, and a beautiful way to end it. Like, it is overwhelmingly moving whenever the other priest, I can't remember his name at the end, he runs up to him and he's like, would you like to take confession one last time? And he does the little, he answers with his hand. Like, dude, it's just, it rips your heart apart. And then the smash cut from him bloodied on the ground to it being clean in daytime. And it's like nothing even happened. Like that. Oh my God, does that hit like a fucking truck? I love the end of this movie, man.
In a normal horror movie, he would just be dead, and then we would have the little happy ending with the mom and the daughter, and it would be whatever. I don't know. But like, this movie has a way of kind of giving that overall happy, you are fulfilled in kind of every storyline, even though it is a traumatic end for the favorite character of the movie. And yeah, I thought I like hearing.
I love that what the right thing to do was didn't align with the cause that drove him his whole life. You know, like he has to make that choice. He doesn't, and I think that that's just really, really poignant. And I don't think they're sending a message that's like, you know, forget it, it's fine. You know, like just do whatever you want. Like, no, it's a sacrifice. It's not like he's like,
yeah,
well, this can't be real, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. You know, like it's obviously not that. And I think it's a great way to finalize the guilt he felt for potentially not observing the tenets of Catholicism consistently and doing it one last time with confidence and knowing it's the right thing to do. I think it's a beautiful ending. I love the end of this movie.
Yeah. And there is something interesting. I think they're playing with the like detective. I think they might have called him Lieutenant, maybe.
Yeah, Lieutenant Kinderman.
And it's like he always just leaves right before the shit just goes down. Or I felt like, and then like in his eyes, there were some murders. Like obviously that's clear from the outside perspective, but there's no way he's no way anything religious or demonic, anything. It's just like somehow someone murdered this guy, pushed him out of the window, and this guy fell out, and just rolled down these steps. And it's like there's nothing that this lieutenant is going to clock of like, I don't know. There's nothing in this police report that's going to be written up of this at all. It's just going to be the deaths and that's it. And that's I think an interesting kind of thing. They're not really putting so much importance on it, but it's an interesting lens to look through of like the mother who so clearly like sees the bed shaking, and then the doctor being like, well, the daughter, or the problem is your daughter, not your bed, but like if you're there, clearly it's not the fucking daughter, the bed is, the mom is there too. So it's the onion, like keep the different layers of people who know and who are close enough to know. And then,
well, and that was another further emphasis on that, the dichotomy between the secular and the non-secular is that like we had the side of the story that was the doctors who were like, it literally can't be that. Maybe we try an exorcism. If your daughter believes in God, she'll believe in the power of exorcism, and mentally it will make the demon go away. Like they even view that practice as earthly. They view that as a science. And I think that was a really, really cool way to depict it. And I love that, I love the conversation Chris has with Karras, wherever he's like, about as much about possession as any priest does. You know what I'm saying? Like I in my entire career here in this line, never once have I met one that performed an exorcism, and so I love how rare they make it be, like it's not something that they see every day by any stretch, it's not like they have an experienced exorcist, they have the one guy who did one 12 years ago and that was it, nearly killed him, they say,
the dude who's going on archaeological digs, who's just also a priest, like homies just, Indiana, like in my mind, this is late Indiana Jones. This is just the old. This is him. This is how he goes. He performs exorcisms. In his late life.
Funny
whenever
enough,
he can.
His Star Wars character is this. He's dedicated himself to the religion of the Force, and that's why he has the map that leads to Luke Skywalker, is because he looks for artifacts that are Force related.
What?
So, yeah, Lor Santek is really fucking cool. They have not explored that character nearly enough. But
so the universe says that he is Indiana Jones. So I'm glad I put that on him before. But yeah, no, he man, it was tough to see him go. But then for I guess what was his Damien was his first name, but
Karras,
Father Karras. The one questionable thing he did do was just wail on Reagan for a little bit, and
it's not Reagan though. That's what even the mom says. So I was a contender for my favorite line. Is like you could make a perfect copy of Reagan. You could put them side by side. I would know which one is Reagan. I can tell you with my entire heart that girl up there is not Reagan. I think that ultimately is extremely important for why he's able to beat the fucking shit out of him.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't feel bad about it. Like it wasn't like clearly this demon has turned
you
neck
gotta
around
do that,
and thrown a guy out of a window, and like this demon is possessive of a lot.
And frankly,
of
it's bold as fuck because that it possesses some untold strength. Like it's
and then just to
the power of Christ compelled him. I'll tell you that.
Man, it's tough not to go like with those
the exorcism,
scenes, like because it's just what the movie's building to the whole time, and it's just
the build up to the exorcism, though, when he like pulls up outside and he's explaining the process, and we're getting like this montage of them all kind of getting ready. Like, I love any sequence that kind of plays like that. I know we've been talking a lot about Star Wars, but I love, you know, in The Rise of Skywalker, whenever Poe's like, it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and it's all them like loading up into their resistance ships and stuff, but you know it's him talking to them earlier. Like, it's I love that sort of editing choice, and that's one thing that I love about this movie. I think it is wonderfully edited. I think that there is one of my favorite choices is that we don't see Sydao or Marin die. You know? We just enter the room and he is dead. You know, like, but you got the impression right before we cut away from them that he was fucked. You know, he was done for. And there wasn't anything going on particularly that told you that. Like, it wasn't like Regan was trying to attack him or anything, or he was praying, he was doing his thing, and you were like, this ain't going on much longer. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was fascinating.
Man, it's really interesting. This like onion layer kind of pops up a lot, where it's like, if you're not right there, it could be perceived that like there's no way that this little girl killed this priest. You know, like, Marin, no way. Like, if you're outside of that room and you walk in, you see the dead priest and the little girl, it's like, okay, well, who escaped to kill this priest, you know, or whatever.
Well, and that's what's cool too, is there's still not a guarantee that the demon killed the priest, you know? Like, we don't know that for a fact. We do see that she's in a new spot on the bed and stuff. Like, she did get loose. It's kind of implied. But, I mean, he was struggling anyway. He's an old fucking guy. You know, the first exorcism nearly killed him. Like, there's a possibility that it was just, the effort.
I kind of like always wondered if the demon jumped to any of their bodies as well, or if it was the first time that we saw it at the end with Karras and that was it. But because when it got in his body, he wanted to like kill Regan at first. Yeah. You know, that was like the first instinct, was to just kill, just instantly. And I wondered if, you know, if it jumped to them, like, I don't know, does that make sense? Like, she would have maybe just, I don't know, died, it seems like. So I don't know if it's likely.
Yeah, no, well, what's also interesting is that I think we were texting about this off mic. The coin, whenever he finds Marin dead, that's when Karras gets the coin.
Oh.
So like
Marin is the one with it the whole time. He's the one with it. Is he wearing it as a necklace?
I'm pretty sure. I might be mistaken.
Oh.
But regardless, he possesses it for the whole movie until Karras takes over the exorcism. Until he takes charge and leads the proceedings, which I'm confident it's some sort of shield. It protects them from being possessed. So, you know, when you question, could she have jumped into his body? I don't think so. I don't think the demon could have, because it's not until Regan rips the necklace off of Father Karras that the demon is able to jump into him. So,
man.
And like, I don't like getting too hung up on the semantics of like the
logic of it.
Yeah, like, it's not like, it might not work that way. That's just kind of how I perceived it to work because of the coincidences there. But
they're like building like a mythology almost, like with the coin and the rock, or the little figure,
little statue.
And then, so was that the thing that the detective just found on the front porch? Like, he was walking outside, before he walked in, he picked up something, and he it was at their front porch, just at the bottom of the steps, and it looked kind of like that figure thing. And then I think, I don't know, maybe he takes it away.
Well, the other thing too is that Regan makes figures like this. They make that clear at some point in the movie.
Yeah, because I didn't think, how could it have got, you know? I was like, how?
Yeah, no, like the one that Marin finds at the beginning of the movie is not one that Regan made.
Yeah,
but like There is an interesting, the interesting question, the most interesting question of the movie for me is why Reagan? You know, and that part of the movie where they literally question it gives me my favorite line by far of the movie, delivered by Marin himself in response to Karras, where he says,
okay.
Let's see.
Okay, good. Glad it's getting a nod.
Yeah, I loved that moment. He says, I think the point is to make us despair, to see ourselves as animal and ugly, to reject the possibility that God could love us. The demon is trying to corrupt them, not just kill, but take away their tenets, make them know better than he is, you know?
Whoa. And then he has to immediately get up, go to the bathroom, take his medicine, you know, or whatever. Like, right after he says it, he's like, excuse me, I have to go. Like, I have to go.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was heavy. Like, it was like, holy fuck. And my immediate thought was like, damn, he's right. We all are just fucking animals, and we're just, we have all these instincts, but, you know, I was very on the nihilistic side of it, and then I'm like, no, wait, no.
It reminds me of one of my favorite lines ever, and we covered this a few weeks ago on Cinema Surprise, Banshees of Inisherin, whenever Brendan Gleeson is in the confessional with the priest, and he says that he killed the donkey, and he goes, do you think God gives a shit about donkeys? And he goes, no, I fear that he doesn't. And I fear that's where it all went wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for someone who's not particularly religious, there is a deep resonance I get out of religious stories and these sorts of contemplations. Yeah. Because it's more the questioning of it all. I think that there's a really, really interesting, like, grappling with faith is something I can relate to. Dedicating myself to faith is not something I can relate to. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's an interesting line to toe but not cross, to be like, because, you know, there are movies in theaters every once in a while where you're like, oh, like, you look at the title, you're like, oh, that looks fun. And then you, like, watch the trailer and you're like, well, that's a propaganda film. You know what I'm saying? And it's fine. Those have their place, you know, like, people will go watch it. They'll love it. But, you know, I'm not going to go watch it. And like, I don't want to see it. I want to see this. I want to watch Mean Streets. Scorsese's got a ton of these. The Irishman, that's another one that grapples with these ideas, you know? Goodfellas grapples with these ideas. Like, it's
at least nice, like, not being religious, to be able to talk about, like, the concepts are very easy to talk about when just, like,
they're
God
universal.
it's a universal concept that everyone understands, and it's easy to talk. But it's nice whenever it's just used plainly in a movie like this, like, as, I don't know, it's not seen as wacky or crazy, or like they don't make the prosthetics so wacky enough where it's like, okay, obviously we're in the realm of whack zone now. It's they take it seriously, and it's serious the whole time. There's even, like, a little bit of questions of it, like, he throws just regular tap water on her at first, you know, and he's like, he had the same reaction, and then, like, but by the end of it, it's clear, you know, there's no science going.
Well,
this is
also,
not all science
that part always cracks me up a little bit, because I'm like, fucking look at her.
Yeah.
She's turning green.
We need another scan.
This isn't mental.
Yeah, I guess she wasn't that bad at that point.
Yeah, not at the time when she's going
like,
to the hospital. But, like, whenever he tosses the holy water at her, I'm pretty sure, like, her veins are starting to pop out, and there's scratches on her face, and her eyes are turning green. You know, I'm like, that's not typical. He's like, I need her to speak a language she doesn't know. I'm like, look at her!
At
you know?
the very minimum, she needs a new checkup, because there's either some new disease that they didn't think of, or there's a fucking demon inside of her. Because she's green.
Oh, dude. The part of the movie that I have the toughest time with is the grotesquerie of her vomiting.
Nope.
Ooh. Whenever it just whoosh, goes at him, and he's like, and he, like,
and it gets on Karras's hand, and it gets all over his purple sash, and they just fucking wash it in the sink. Yeah, well, a person with germophobia and all mouth germs, all that, this is like, it was terrible. I mean, this was, you know, it was a creepy, and this was just like, oh man, now I'm physically cringing, and I hate this shit.
I loved the difference in the way that Karras handled it versus Marin. when Marin just rolls with it. You know, he's like, all right, he takes this, he's like, go clean this for me, wipes it off, continues his prayer.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of not a fucked up story from behind the scenes, but just like it sucks. It sucks that happened. The vomit the first time on Karras was not supposed to hit his face. It was like the actor was expecting it to hit his chest. And he, in interviews, was just like notoriously pissed that whatever malfunction happened, it got. So like his reaction of disgust and shock is very genuine. It was not supposed to hit him in the face.
What is it? What do they use?
Some sort of concoction. I don't know. It's disgusting. Well, what's also cool is that like another thing that I appreciate, which helps. I mean, the color is fucking disgusting. It also, however, doesn't look like vomit. It looks fucking nasty, but it doesn't look like what vomit looks like. And I'm sorry to dwell on saying vomit over and over, but like, it was just, like when she turns over and it's just like falling out of her mouth. She's not even
How do they
shooting
do that?
it. Oh my God.
How do they
some sort of tube on the side of her face doing that, I guess.
Oh my God. It just kept coming. But I love how, Karras is over there freaking out. He's like, how are you like keeping your composure? Like the bed is floating. I think that's when he takes a step back and he's like, are we not going to talk about the fact that the bed is floating right now?
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You know, like he's just fucking going in over there.
I guess the last one he did, they said it took a month to do. So I can't. The homie's been through it.
Marin's strapped in. You know, he entered this night going, "I'm gonna be here a while." You know what I'm saying? Like,
because he says, "Oh, we should rest before we begin again," and then Karras is like, "Fuck, you're right. We have to go." You're like, "We're not done." He's like, "Holy shit, this was just round one." He's like, "Oh my God!"
It was prepping the exorcism too. Like it wasn't even like
was just getting ready. That's just getting ready. They haven't even really begun. And oh my God. Yeah, that was, I mean, terrible. But I wonder why they do kind of leave it up in the air of how they die. You know, we don't see the deaths. Maybe it is just a little girl killing a grown man. They just, I don't know. It's easier just to have it be implied and leave it up to the imagination.
Well, and that's what's interesting though, is that Marin doesn't show the signs of, you know, he didn't experience a blunt force trauma. He didn't experience getting his neck snapped. We would see something like that. That's why I'm like, it's interesting to think that his heart gave out. You know, like he tried.
He was dealing with some stuff.
He was dealing with other stuff. You know, like that's why I'm like, but the ambiguity of it.
That's how becomes the secular mind would perceive it.
Exactly.
So
it's like what could have happened. It's more fun to consider what could have happened than like, well, obviously his heart gave out while he was doing this.
So the coin, the shield of sorts, it was on his body until he died, or
I'm pretty sure. I might be mistaken, but I can't remember when it makes the transfer from Marin to Karras specifically, because we know Marin has it up until he arrives at the house, which is when he meets Karras. So my money is that it's when his life ends, but I guess it could have been before as like here's this, like just like another little token.
I'm trying to remember.
Like, man, I can't remember.
Like, did he pick it up off his body, or was it before?
I'm like, I feel like he did, because he kneels over his body and he like, I feel like there's a moment where he takes something from him, but I can't remember.
Because he has it around his neck though, because
Karras does. Yeah,
Reagan rips it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he had it on his neck when he entered the room when Marin was dead. So he had to have gotten it, I guess, before Marin went in there for the last time. So I guess the demon could have entered his body at that point then. Maybe, and that's just how he died. It's because he couldn't take it. His body
couldn't take it. Yeah.
Simply was just like, fuck, heart attack, dead, like over, and that's it. Or maybe the demon knew that. It was just like, kill him. The demon knew of Marin before. That was like in the reverse
I'm pretty sure
lines.
it's he says Marin.
Fear the
like,
priest, fear Marin, and like so.
Fairly certain this is the same demon who he did an exorcism against
had like a little
previously.
snake penis, and like the lightning storm. Was that? Was that like I don't know? That was pretty funny. Just like
I loved that shot.
Kind of
whenever she's like on
up.
the bed, like it's cool.
Oh, and he sees he sees that
statue.
demon again.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so yeah, I guess it is. It is just implied. It's
that kind of recontextualizes the beginning in Iraq. When he sees the sculpture again, and when he sees the giant statue and it scares him, you see like the fear in him, like kind of a realization that something's about to happen. Like there's this is back, this is happening again. Because doesn't the other priest say it happened somewhere in Africa? Is that where?
I think that's where his other one, where it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in like if I'm assuming it's the same demon because of that line where it's like fear the priest, fear Marin. But that was cool.
Because I guess at the beginning he was at that where I don't know who that other guy was at the desk, but then the clock stopped, and Marin saw it as weird, but the guy at the desk was just whatever about it. And I guess, there was a lot to connect the beginning, obviously. It's not going to just not matter, but it is, I guess, maybe his fault, kind of. Like, it's him taking this coin out of this tomb or whatever he got this little figure from, awoke this demon, and allowed it to even enter Reagan's body in the first place. And then it's like a whole loop, and then he dies from it. The demon knows fear. I don't know. It's weird that the demon knows of Marin, I guess it's just,
there's no way to know how
all
time
knowing,
works.
It's like the demon is speaking as the mother of Karis, so like obviously there's something else going on there. That's creepy.
Burke. There was a really cool part of the movie whenever she turns her head all the way around and speaks to her mom, where she goes, "You know what your cunting daughter did."
Yeah,
that's Burke's voice. With her head turned all the way around, just kind of being like, "She turned my fucking head all the way around," Like that's there's a lot of really fucking gnarly cool stuff in this movie. So like I'm with those people who call it like a weird comfort movie, because like I can pretty casually watch this, I'm not a big horror movie guy, but like this toes that line for me of not being overly scary while still being disturbing and just kind of like but it does have some really cool payoffs, and I mean, like, I do love the cast, I think that it's a wonderfully performed on all sides. Like, if Linda Blair wasn't so damn good, I would have gone with Ellen Burstyn as Chris McNeil. She does such a good job.
It's just kind of got outshined by, crazy enough, the child actor in the movie. Just had a lot more to do, but yeah, I mean, it was the moments of like her talking to the doctors and being like, "You're fucking kidding me." Like, if you think that this is, you still like want to scan, and then like her surrounded by 50 doctors at that like conference table, and like all the scenes when she had to just kind of go, holy fuck, like just a lot of emotion she had to show. But Linda Blair, I don't know, had to do just kind of a whole different thing. A whole different kind of performance to put on. But yeah, I mean, there was even like the
Lee J. Cobb. I love Lee J. Cobb. Lieutenant Kinderman.
That scene, dude. That, like, when he comes in the house, kind of a dick to ask for the autograph at the end, but the whenever they sit down eventually, the camera, like, he's asking more and more questions, and the camera's like zooming in. He's like buying into like he's getting his clues, and he's like cluing in on who it could be. And then the second it's like, oh, there's no one else in the room, it's only the daughter, the camera starts to zoom out again. Like, it all inverts. And then he's like, you know what, I'm actually no further questions needed, it's actually whatever. And then he leaves, and then he asks for the autograph and whatever.
Some really cool camera work with him when he's on screen. Whenever he's walking side by side with Karis, there's a really awesome zoom going on that I cannot really tell how it was done, where they're walking away from the camera and the camera is following them and the background's getting bigger. It's like a dolly zoom, but I don't think that's what it is. I'm like, cause it doesn't play that way, but I don't know what they were doing with the camera in that moment, but I thought it was extremely satisfying. Yeah. And that's something that William Friedkin is just super fucking good at is, generally just with the camera, but also blocking. This dude can block a scene fucking beautifully. There's that shot whenever they discuss like why Reagan, there's an establishing shot of Max von Sydow sitting on stairs to the left and Karras sitting on the right, and then they cut to Karras's face and he's right there, and I was like, oh my god, yes! The part whenever he goes downstairs and the stairs are above him and Chris walks into the room and he's sitting on the bench with his head in his hands, like that, like there are so many shots that are so good looking simply because of where the people are, not particularly because of anything else. And I think I think it's something that Friedkin's particularly good at, and it's something Kurosawa was always notoriously extremely good at. So, and Kubrick. Those are kind of, whenever I think of blocking, those three are kind of where my head goes. But, fucking delicious camera work in this.
As far as the ones we've covered so far, horror-wise, this one's the prettiest to me. I think it's kind of in another league. This is, even the stills are beautiful, like the kind of classic outside the house. I don't know that. Like the one you
that's my favorite shot. That's my. I mean, like it's just so iconic. I don't know how to not go with when Father Merrin arrives and he gets out of the car, out of the taxi, and the light's shining, and he's like, "Damn!" Whenever she's lifting off the bed, and it's that overhead shot of her rising, like, dude,
that's nice. There's like the phone's going off in the kitchen, and the light's also blinking, and then she picks it up, it's no one, she walks, and then the lights go off, and then there's like, I don't know, I guess the moonlight through a window, but it's perfectly on her eyes and lights up. That was
did you see during that part whenever the lights like flicker, there's like a face in the background?
I kind of wondered. There were some times where I'm
There's
like,
a couple
did I
times
see
where
something?
that happens.
I'm
yes,
like,
you did.
Did I see a thing? And it was clear, like the demon's face popped up like on someone's face or like on face. Reagan.
It pops up in the background a couple times in the movie, and that's one of the times. Whenever the lights flicker, it's like the oven hood that's right there. It's like right on it. There's a face that pops up.
That's cool.
I'm like, that's the sort of thing that also gets me a little bit. Like that's. I don't I don't love that.
Even the fact that I didn't know that I saw it. It's like, did I see something? And then I thought that it just got my mind going. And
I'm a huge fan of splicing something into one frame in anything. You know, it reminds me of like even in Fight Club.
Yeah,
whenever Ed Norton sees Brad Pitt for the first time, even in that context, if you're watching it for the first time, even that's a little fucking freaky. You know. Like, you're like,
what? You're like,
what's going on? You know, like, obviously now that you know what's going on, it's not scary. But like, I've always found that to be a creepy thing to do, you know? And I love whenever anything does it. And this does it a couple times, more than I noticed the first time I watched it. I can only point to that one specifically, but I remember there being a couple times where I was like, oh, yep, like, there's a dream that Karras has at the beginning. He like wakes up and he like saw his mother in the dream. She's like coming up from the subway and then he tries to get her attention. She turns around and walks back down. During that, there's a flash of the face. But it's like full screen. It's not like hidden. It's like, boom. That is a part of the dream. Like, boom. Like sudden boom. 1 second. It can't be a jump scare because it doesn't stick around long enough for you to process that it's scaring you. But it operates in a more eerie and more effective fashion for me. I'm not a big jump scare guy, but I love that. Whenever you make me go, What's going on? Yeah.
It's just reminding you that it's there. Because you're right, it isn't a jump scare. It's not long enough for you to even perceive really what's going on. But it's
process that you are afraid of it. You know what I'm saying?
You have to think about it afterwards. You're like, I did just see that. Oh my, that's the face of the evil, force that we're working with. And yeah, no, it's a beautiful movie. And like, I mean, the blocking, the one shot that I think is the one I will go with is whenever he does have his hands in his face and Chris comes out, talks to him. He's at this point, he's like pretty much given up. He seems that he's just like, holy shit, there's nothing we can really do. But then the mother, Chris just says, like, is she gonna die? Like she just doesn't know. And I guess Kara sees this as like, oh, well, that wasn't really in the cards. He seems as if like, no, that's not what's really going on here at all. But like instantly he's like, oh shit, I got a job to do. Like he's like,
he locks back in.
He's like, I got to save this girl. He's like, I can't, he's like, I know I'm tired, but like, it's like this mother's waiting for her daughter to be saved. Like that, it's larger than me sort of thing. And just the shot, the camera stays there as he just walks back upstairs and Chris just kind of watches him walk upstairs. And I was just like, I don't know, moments like that got me to like tear up. I was like, holy fuck. Like it's just in those just super powerful moments. And because I found myself tearing up like maybe 2 or 3 times throughout it. And I did not expect that at all. Like with this movie, I thought it was just going to be creepy and scary and nasty, but no, it was super heartfelt. And like, it's always like coming back to like, just, it's an innocent girl like that. I don't know. That was my thought of like, of course it has to just be this innocent girl. And then they literally ask why on the stairs. And that was another like, probably another moment when I teared up was then. That would make sense. And, it was, man, I don't know, kind of the ending is really just when all the emotions were turned up to 11, but throughout the entire first and second act, it's just that slow burn to get there, which is what they did so good. I don't know, it's an all around pretty perfect horror movie. I don't like, if you want it to be more scary and more jump scary, I guess you could ask for that, but I don't know. I feel like that would actively make the movie worse to put those things.
It's not that type of movie, And I think that this movie really pays dividends for knowing itself. One of my favorite characters that's not super important, but I love the steady force that she is Sharon, the maid or servant of some sort, maybe a nanny. I can't really. I think nanny is probably the most accurate description of her. Like at the end, whenever, Chris is like, you want to come with us? And she's like, no, I think I'm good, but like there's an obvious love that they have for each other. And there's like Sharon being the one to call Father Karras and be like, I didn't want her to see this. Like, I didn't want it to scare her, but you needed to come. Like this is like, there's a really cool thing that they do there that I think maybe that's the only thing in the movie I would have liked a little bit more of is her generally, because every time she was there, it was pretty cool. I like the relationship they formed. I don't know how you plug that in more, but I think they did just enough to emphasize just how much she cares about Regan and how much she cares about Chris. She's the one that her and Regan do the Ouija board together. It's Captain Howdy. And Chris is like, oh, Captain Howdy, huh? And then she's like, all right, well, we'll do it together. She tries to put her hands on, and Captain Howdy is not having it.
I wonder how common Ouija boards were before this movie, and then how many people just put them in the trash can. Like, they were just like,
right,
nope, like,
I'm good,
not going for it. And yeah, just because a lot of these movies, it's like, it's the first, like, we watched Night of the Living Dead, it's like the first time zombies are really getting popular again, and like people are just having that fear, it's like a new fear unlocked. And I wonder if this is like another one, in 73, the Ouija board now becomes known as like you're probably going to get possessed by a demon if you play around with the Ouija board now. But
yeah, the Ouija was manufactured in the United States in 1890.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
pretty old.
Okay. I wonder, is that like Ouija was the first. Is that like a company, or is that like it's known at like the Ouija board? That's like an ancient. Does it come from an older thing, or was this
the
just
name?
The first?
The name Ouija is a trademark of Hasbro.
Wow, so it's literally a toy.
It's a toy company.
It's literally a toy. Oh my god!
I wonder if it does have deeper origins than that.
That's crazy.
As far as like what the word, nope, Ohio.
It's
that's
actually
where the Ouija board comes from. Is
a toy.
Ohio.
Oh my god! Does it actually have like a magnet or something in it that makes it move weird or ghost-like, or is it like?
I don't know. Let's see. One of the first mentions of the automatic writing method used in the Ouija board is found in China around 1100 A.D. The method was known as Fuji, the use of planchette writing as an ostensible means of necromancy and communion with the spirit world. Whoa. So it's more that Hasbro capitalized on specifically this model of board, which has kind of become our image for what a Ouija board is. Mm-hmm. Talking boards, as a part of the spiritualist movement, mediums began to employ various means of communication with the dead. Following the American Civil War, mediums did significant business in allegedly allowing survivors to contact lost relatives. Use of talking boards was so common by 1886 that news reported that the phenomenon taking over the spiritualist camps in Ohio. The Ouija was named in 1890 in Baltimore, Maryland by medium and spiritualist Helen Peters Noseworthy. Interesting.
Wow, that's kind of crazy to be like, a bunch of people are trying to communicate with dead spirits. Let's make this a toy. Let's fucking sell it at mass scale. But hey, it's worked. I mean, they probably made a shit ton of money off of it. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much this if this movie like had a resurgence, or I don't know, because that's pretty old. I didn't expect it to be that old.
I didn't either.
But
I figured there was something like it, but to like specifically this model of Ouija board, 1890. Like that's when.
Damn.
That's when it happened. But God
damn.
Yeah, no, that's old. That's old.
People have been thinking about ghosts and ghouls and all, and I guess not really ghosts and ghouls. This is a lot more faith. It could be interpreted a lot of different ways, but yeah, I think. Let's see. I think that'll be my favorite shot. The stairs one, how she's gonna die. I like the stillness of the eye. Anytime eyes are just in focus in a movie, like Indiana Jones does it a lot, and just I feel like older movies and just like silent films or
emphasis on lighting movies, over eyes. Yeah,
that was nice. But I think the blocking and the moment of is my daughter gonna die and Karis walking back upstairs is the one I will solidify.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I had to go with the iconic one just because. It's one of those ones where the first time I watched this, I was waiting for it. I was like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? What is this? And then he shows up. Well, and that's what's cool is that the movie's called The Exorcist. Like you're waiting for him to show up,
That's true.
And I think that's cool. And obviously it gets recontextualized by the end of the movie that Father Karras is the exorcist. And he takes on much more of a leading role, and it makes sense that it's actually about him. But, you don't know that at that time, the first time you watch it. You're thinking like, all right, when's he showing up? And then he does, and he gets that iconic introductory moment, and you're like, fuck yeah, gives me chills when I see that shot. So I love it. But yeah,
opening the door and like kind of he was silhouetted and like kind of looked not evil, but like a little
dark.
And then he walking into the light there and coming out. I don't know. I guess I didn't think about the title being him. Like it is. We are really waiting for him to get there. That is the image I had in my head before the movie. I knew that this will happen at one point, but then the great parts about the movie is all the parts before. Like it's everything
not
else.
Even relating to him for the most part. Wow. What makes the story good, and I think that's really, really cool.
Wow.
No, I love this movie, man. It's gonna fare well for me when we get to the rating of it. Do we have much else to say on The Exorcist?
I believe that is everything. All the favorites have been covered. Yeah, had a few nods to a few just smaller scenes, I guess, like the attic scare whenever she walked up there and thought the scratching, I don't know, something was going to happen. It's just one of the other maids.
That is a cool that is a cool moment. Well, there's a moment there that's like,
I guess it could have been
the demon
something.
is the fucking torch flares right whenever she.
That's true.
Whenever the dude comes up, like
that's true.
There's something up there.
So something
and
did happen.
she brushes that off whenever he says something. But like, there's something up there, and it was warning. Like it was warning her, you know. But or not warning her, but like
it was just little scenes like that slowly kept like, oh, something's gonna happen. But then it was, you know, you could brush it off. There was that.
Whenever she moves into her mom's bed, and she's like, "My bed was shaking," and you're like,
"Huh."
You know, like you're like, oh.
What do you mean by that? That's that's very weird. And the other kind of little scene that I liked was the psychiatrist that actually tried to come in and was tried to get the demon to talk out of her, like the hypnotist or more a hypnotist. Maybe he was a hypnotist actually. And then just him getting, I don't know, kind of he was kicked in the ball. Was it kicked? Maybe grabbed? I don't know. He just
all
got
sorts of stuff.
Let
Jesus fuck you. Let Jesus.
That
fuck
was him.
You. Yeah.
That was during.
I'm
that
pretty
was
sure that's him.
With him.
Yeah.
Oh dang. Yeah, I thought it was just. I thought
maybe that was just a doctor. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he just was like, all right, let this demon talk, and then she went crazy. I think she literally either kicked him in the balls or just like punched him in the balls, and then it cut, and he was just gone and away. And then like I don't know, maybe they moved on, but yeah, a lot of. Whoa. I mean, yeah, it got crazy.
Yeah, pretty brutal imagery when she is bleeding from a crucifix.
And just hearing the shink, shink, like the stabbing of it too, like, the sound.
And shoving her mom's face into the blood.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see how in 73 this was pretty fucking groundbreaking in terms of...
That's true. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That is... People, oh my god. Yeah, this is this is not for kids. Yeah.
Well, and there was I forgot to mention this. Probably my favorite moment in the movie because it's just so. Whoa, you know, like it's the first time things get. It's probably the only true jump scare in the movie, but it's not enough of a jump scare for me to qualify it as like a. It's not a corny, cheesy jump scare. I really appreciate it. And it's because I have a memory from when I was really young that I never knew what movie it was from until I watched this. And I was like, holy shit, who was letting me watch the fucking Exorcist? You know, like, cause it's whenever she's crab walking down the stairs with the blood in her mouth. That stuck with me for like my entire life. Mm-hmm. You know, I was like, what the fuck is I stopped watching it at that point. I remember I was at my uncle's house. It was a bunch of the kids. We were all watching it. And I was like, that's enough. I'm done. You know? But I never knew what movie it was until I watched this for the first time and I was like, it's The Exorcist. Cool.
Yeah, maybe not one to have on around the kids, I would say.
Yeah, potentially.
Pretty scarring.
But I love that. The music flare and her crawling down and like,
they're like, something is very clearly wrong here now. That is not, we are not in the medical realm any longer. But there's very scarring things, a lot of scarring things, especially for 73. That is a thought I didn't even really have, until just now thinking of how the fuck people were thinking of this in the theater. But I guess the rating system, is that even a thing in 73? Is this even I guess it says R now.
I'm pretty sure it existed from 73.
Yeah, I guess on the poster it says R. So so it's there. So I mean there's not children in the theater watching this. There's, I guess, parents. There's no way.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
But you saw it somehow, so there was an adult that was like, yup, this
It was like a family gathering. I'm pretty sure we weren't I don't think we were supervised at present, and I think it was on cable. I think we just flipped through fucking channels.
Okay,
we didn't seek out The Exorcist. I think
sounded
we stopped to watch it.
Sounded like someone just had the DVD or the movie. It was like, all right, kids, sit down. You'll watch The Exorcist.
We weren't getting shown The Exorcist. I think we found The Exorcist.
Okay. Yeah. Gotta new guest, a new visitor.
Got the new guest. Got the kitty in. Hi, buddy. But yeah, no, that I just wanted to make mention of that because that was a funny discovery whenever I watched it for the first time officially. But yeah, I think that's about all I've got. Aw, buddy. What's up? What's up, man? All right. Sorry about that. He wasn't comfy. But yeah, I'll do the plugs and then we can rate this thing and we will talk about what we're going to do next week. So, if you would head to Twitter, follow at Cinementalists as it is spelt in the title of the show. There you'll find any news on what we're about to do. You'll find more takes about movies and, photos and stills and all the good stuff. Maybe clips, maybe, I don't know. We'll figure something out to post over there. But it's a good place to know whatever we're about to get up to. We do have only 2 more weeks left in October for the Halloween project. We're doing another, what I would truly consider a comfort horror movie next week, in Evil Dead. That's a gloriously fun horror movie. So we're doing that next week, and we're concluding on Halloween with Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, and I'm very excited for that. Yeah, so you can keep up with us at Cinementalists on Twitter. We are a offshoot of the Penny Bloom podcast. Currently, as it is October, I believe we should be covering The Penguin at this point. The HBO series spinoff of The Batman, as it premiered in September. I'm assuming it's still going, and if it's not, we're covering something else by now. But we're covering stuff. That's on Mondays over on Penny Bloom. So definitely check that out. But yeah, with that, let's rate this thing. How do you feel about The Exorcist?
We're in the 9s, and we're high. It was a good horror movie and just a well-made movie as well. That is always nice. Just whenever you can have both. And it made me cry, which was unexpected. And was just...
I will tell you, it will be the only one of these 5 that'll do that. This was the one I knew would be the standout in terms of emotionality. I'm like, the other 4, they all have their strengths for different reasons. They're classic for different reasons. They have heart for different reasons, but this is a deeply felt horror movie, I would say.
Like, classic for, I don't know, like... Night of the Living Dead and Psycho have a different classic feel to... I guess they're going for a much older... even within the times that they're making the movie, they're still going for an older feel there. But... So, I don't know. Maybe that's just... I'm perceiving the eras as different. But, like, it feels
it is funny to consider that Night of the Living Dead was only 5 years earlier than this.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. For some reason, this comes right before Star Wars. I had some weird Star Wars bits of it. Like, I could see George, like, pulling some weird things out of this story somehow to fit Star Wars. And I forgot even where my train of thought came from that. But it was some... Maybe how, like, the Jedi altered, or, like, how they perceived things. Maybe it was, like, how from The Onion, somehow, how the Jedi would look at things. But it just... I don't know how inspirational this movie is. Like, I don't know where inspiration is. At least, the only thing I do know is the music. Like, I instantly heard this piano theme, and I'm like, where have I heard that before? And it was in anime, in Death Note, L's theme, and it's just whenever he's going super mind mode in his mind palace, but here it's like it's way more eerie.
It's just a build up,
yeah, it works.
And we'll talk Halloween here in a couple weeks. Definitely influenced John Carpenter's composition of that theme, which off like that.
I know how to play that on the piano.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a little bit more of a complicated streak that this one has. All right. Well, he's traversing the unknown. I'm going 975.
I was debating on 9.5 or 9.75. So maybe we just make it easy this week and just go across the board here because I'm cool with it. I don't think we're, at least with this horror stretch, gonna get going to get another one like this, but if we do,
we should not.
But
yeah. you will definitely like the next two for completely different reasons. Like they are, and I mean, Evil Dead's a Sam Raimi one. You know, you'll at least be making the Spider-Man connections, which is always a good time.
That will be fun. So, and Halloween, I kind of know, but
I'm excited to show you a John Carpenter. So, you know, I love John. Probably my favorite horror director of all time, John Carpenter. But that's not even my favorite John Carpenter movie. So,
a good start then. Good start into him. But
indeed, definitely a good place to start. But
975.
Yeah. With that, we will conclude this episode of the Cinementalists. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, man, wouldn't it be fucked up if I was just like, let Jesus fuck you, you know? Like that's how I end it. No. But let's see. All right, this is nice. This is a sweet one. Remember, your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis, you faithless slime.